Hello everyone. Today we will be reviewing Lulu, a Diamond 4 Ana. Some of the things Lulu mentioned is that their aim wasn't great and that positioning might have been an issue, although I've already done the review and I'll say up front that the biggest issue is neither of those things. We're only going to go over the first two rounds as I felt like the third was a lot of the same, so I cut it out for the sake of time. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, getting into this VOD review. We're on Ana, we're in Diamond. I haven't watched this yet, so let's just get right into it and see what happens. We start off with our Sojourn getting picked, but nothing we can do about that. And I guess the first thing I want to talk about, right? The first sleep we throw. There's two schools of thought with using your abilities on Ana, and I think both of them can work. So, like, a lot of what you'll hear from someone like Awkward is just use your abilities on cooldown and just get as much use out of them as you can, right? And that works, right? Awkward is probably like one of the best supports in the game. So I'm not going to say that that strategy doesn't work, but I am going to say it's harder, in my opinion, for the average person to make that work than it is for someone like Awkward who can maybe survive better without his abilities. And so what I do and how I got to GM is by using my abilities only when I think that we're going to be able to do something with them, and that's what I teach other people to do. And so while your sleep is fine, I mean, this is the first fight, they don't have ults that you're going to need to sleep. The thing is that you don't even know their whole comp yet, and if they have like a flanker and now now that you don't have sleep, the flanker pushes you, you could be in trouble. I don't think this is terrible, but it's not as if the Orisa is in any danger because you slept her, right? The Orisa will be fine. And so while throwing your sleep out like this, I wouldn't say it's actually bad or whatever. I just say if you're gonna throw it out a lot, try and land it on someone where it actually will have an impact, right? Where if you hit it on a squishy where they're gonna have to use Suzu if they have a Kiriko, or they're gonna have to use their nade, on Ana, or somewhere where it's gonna impact the fight, because this Orisa is just gonna get woken up and be fine, right? We missed the nade, but it happens. Everyone just gets kind of blown up here. Nice job rotating back. We got into a pretty good position. Yep. And our JQ goes in before we are ever ready, right? So JQ is still half HP. I think our Mercy wasn't even here when he started walking in. Yeah, so Mercy just got here, literally just got here. And the Mercy has two targets she wants to damage boost, which means you're gonna really have to focus on this Junker Queen. Speaking as a player with pretty good mechanics, sometimes it's hard to consistently hit a Junker Queen, right? She's got a small hitbox for a tank, and she moves pretty fast, especially with Shout. It can be hard to keep her healed up all the way, and especially when your Mercy is going to be stuck on your DPS, it can be pretty tough. So it's not your fault that she walked in early. If we're in voice chat, we can just communicate, hey, like, wait 2 seconds, we'll heal you up, and then we can go in. And we won't have to deal with problems like this. But you're doing a good job of keeping them up. The sleep was better, right? I think it was the Genji we hit, wasn't it? I wasn't paying that much attention. Okay, no. It was the Hanzo, but it's still better to hit the squishy than the tank. I will say though that we're at the point in the fight where they could have ults, or they could be pretty close to ults, and we should be ult tracking the important ones. So the ones that we can shut down with sleep or nade. Most of them are going to be with sleep, not with nade. And so on their team specifically, there's really not much for you to do, right? Dragon is irrelevant to you. Orisa ult matters because you want to position away from her so that she can't just spin on you and ult you, because then your nade is 100% forced out, and if you don't have nade, you're probably just dead. And then the blade, obviously, we want to try and sleep the blade. It's not easy, but if you have sleep ready every time he has blade, eventually you're going to hit it one of the times and it's going to be a huge play. Whereas Anas that just never have their sleep when they need it are going to be way worse off than you. Sleep is still fine. There really hasn't been a whole lot that's happened here. Our rotations were good out of the fight, into the fight. We just want to be a little careful about our abilities, right? We're on pretty long cooldowns now, especially with the nerf mid-season 7, so... All right, first decently large mistake is like, what are we doing, right? The problem is you rotated when like when the dragon happened, it's not like you left and then they dragoned, right? You could hear the voice line. Let's play it one more time. Right, voice line has already started. Your tank is half health, and there's just a mercy, right? So if we leave here, we can pretty much be sure that that jungler queen's gonna die, right? And I know what they say is that you need to take the, you know, playmaking into your own hands, blah, blah, blah. You need to get the kills yourself. And while I do agree that damage on Ana is super important, you don't have to like go behind or get an off angle and try and get solo kills, right? That's not what Ana's about. While maybe it works in lower elos, I think you probably should just cut this habit totally out unless you know that your whole team is going to be good when you're gone. And it's not that I'm saying you have to be a heal bot and you can only help your team, but I'm just saying, right, if you rotate on this point specifically, it's pretty tough, but on most maps it'll be pretty easy to see one or two enemies and your team. And then when your team is not about to die, you can shoot the enemy instead of your team. And that's another thing that Awkward does. I'll talk about Awkward a lot because I learned a lot from him, and I think anyone can learn a lot from him. But you don't, right? You don't have to take crazy flanks to get kills. You just have to shoot the enemy instead of your team from the same safe position. First big mistake. It is going to cause us to lose this fight, right? We might have lost this fight anyways. Nobody knows. But now we definitely lost this fight when we maybe had a chance to win it before. And now they definitely have some ults. We know they just use dragon. At this point in the game, I would just hit tab, see what their damage is on their Orisa, their Genji. I don't really track support ults, but you can if you want to. Based on their damage, I'd think, you know, do they have this? Do they have that? I'd probably just be safe and assume they had Blade and Orisa ult, but he has 57% to Blade, so maybe if you hit scoreboard and he has 500 damage, you know he doesn't have Blade. That's what I would be doing right now. It sleeps fine. We have a Zarya now. Should be good. Better than Junker Queen at least. He can now cleanse himself if he get anti because he couldn't get cleansed before. With that Orisa and Hanzo combo, he's just gonna have tons of energy. So we're gonna want to be sticking pretty close to Zarya, making sure she stays alive. I see you with the Nano on her already. We'll see how it goes. Alright. Let's talk about the Nano, right? Let's talk about the Nano. This is how I kind of like doing it. I want you to think about how much you like the Nano, right? Before I say what I think about it, I want you to think, or the viewers think, you know, was this a good Nano? What would they rate this out of 10? And then I'll usually give, you know, my breakdown on what I think it was, and then we'll watch it out. And sometimes I'll say it's like a 4, and then you get a triple kill, and it's like, okay, well it worked, but in theory, right? What do you think this Nano was? Right? And so there is a problem with this Nano. It's not my favorite Nano because we're not even really in the fight yet, right? Our Zarya can literally only hit the tank, who is going to get all the support, and the supports on their team have no pressure on them, right? So the chance that this Orisa dies from this Nano is really low in my opinion, and the Zarya can't even get to the squishies. This Nano was almost totally wasted, and that's, you know, obviously not something you're going to want to do. What you can do with Nano, if you're not sure how to use Nano properly, and I think you probably are, I mean, everyone has a bad one here and there, but what you can do is just wait until your tank gets low, or wait until a squishy gets low in the middle of a fight, right? While the fight's happening, wait for someone to get low, and when they're, you know, pretty low and you're not sure if you can keep them up by just your normal abilities, then you Nano them, and it's almost always value. Almost always value. Or like, let's say, I mean, you have Ashe and Genji, right? Genji's a decent target without Blade. I wouldn't say he's the best Nano, but a high energy Zarya is definitely better. If you know you want to Nano the Zarya, you can just wait for Zarya to go in and get low. And then once she's low, the thing is everyone on the enemy team will focus her. Naturally, this is how this game works. And then you Nano her, and everyone is in her range because they're trying to kill her, and she just absolutely shreds through everybody. So that's what I like to do. But yeah, let's just see how this goes. We still have our cooldowns. Our Zarya is just absolutely shredded. She doesn't use her bubble to get out of there, and that is nothing you can do, right? Yeah, she just kind of gives up and dies, and now we're gonna lose the fight, right? And now it's time to leave towards spawn. I don't know. Yeah, we need to get out of there. Nice. And we live. A small little thing is that I wouldn't just randomly throw your sleep out when you're trying to retreat, because they might dash on you and then you're really going to want your sleep. So we'll see how you interact with this Genji in the future. And also, I'm going to keep a close eye on your cooldowns. I really want to make sure that we have our cooldowns when we need them, because they're some of the most impactful cooldowns in the game, right? Right, and just ask yourself, like, what are we trying to get out of the nade, right? What was the idea when we threw it, right? Probably Orisa, right? The idea was probably Orisa. Just think about it for a second, right? Orisa is full health, right? Full health and has gold. She's fine. Orisa is actually fine. Even if you hit her with this nade, she is going to be fine. Nothing is going to happen to her. And so this nade is of, like, it's zero value. And I know you miss with it, right? But even if you hit it, this nade was probably zero value, because this Orisa was going to be fine. She has both supports with her. She had mitigation cooldown. She has all of her armor. And so when you're using these abilities, you want to have something in mind that you want to happen. That's what I'll teach always. You want to know what you're trying to get out of it. And so anytime you can't answer the question, well, like, what do I want from this? It's probably just not worth using. Genji has blade. What if he blades you in the next 12 seconds and you don't have nade to stay alive for an extra slash? Or, like, what if you throw out your sleep in the next 5 seconds and then get bladed? Those are the things we need to think about. We go on our off angle again. I still don't like it, because, I mean, what happened last time we did it, right? Everyone just died. If we're gonna do something like this, we need to make sure that we're really gonna get value out of it, right? Like, we need to get a kill here, or else it's not, and it might not be worth it even if we get a kill, because our Zarya might just die right now. Our Zarya is dead. It's already not worth it unless you can kill both of their supports. You get a pretty lucky sleep. You weren't even aiming at her. Right, we're aiming at the Ana. The Mercy just kind of flies into us. We'll take it. And now look, we don't have nade to finish off this kill. If we have nade here, it's so much easier to kill that Mercy. You hit the nade on her, and then you only need to hit one shot instead of two, or Genji only needs to hit one burst of shurikens instead of two. But we don't have nade because we threw it at the Orisa. That's just what you're gonna notice. You're maybe in game, you're thinking like, well, man, I wish I had nade here. It'd be nice to have nade, and you don't think about the fact that you kind of wasted it 8 seconds ago. You could have had it right now. You could have gotten the Mercy with it, right? You hit the shot on the Mercy. If she was naded, she would be dead. I still don't think it matters unless your Mercy can get a res on your Zarya, which doesn't look like she's going for it. Yeah, because it's 97 to 0. But you see where I'm getting with this, right? We need to have focus with our abilities. Now we don't have sleep or nade, and we're in a 1v1 with a Hanzo, right? Wouldn't it be nice to have, you know, any amount of cooldowns right now? But we kind of just randomly threw them out, and so we don't have them anymore. Nice aim. I will say, a little misplay with the nade. If you know nade is coming back up, you're going to want to get a little bit closer to him so that you can splash both of them, both you and him with the nade. And that's super critical in all of your duels with anybody. You're always going to want to try and hit it on both. Sometimes you'll just miss, but that is the idea. And, you know, he jukes, really good juke from him, gets out of it. But usually you're going to want to get, you're going to want to close the distance so that you can get both him and yourself. So we get 100 to 0 this round, and I do want to make the note that twice, like I think there was 4 fights, maybe 3 fights, but 2 of those fights was our fault, right? We just walked away from our tank. We just totally left him out to die, and he did both times, and then we lost both of those fights. So I don't really know what the whole flank thing is about, but we kind of just need to cut that out. It's not doing anything. We're not, you know, we're not even getting value from the fight. We're not turning any, we're really only getting the attention of one person, and then we're not even getting that kill, right? We're in support. We're not supposed to win all of our 1v1s. Not saying you can't, but it is kind of pointless, right? Okay, moving into the second round. I think we have the same team comp, maybe a Sojourn instead of an Ashe, but otherwise it looks pretty similar. Alright, Hanzo hits a good shot on us. It causes us to have to nade ourselves. And basically, My advice is that you want to do everything you can to not have to nade yourself. Everything, right? The more times you have to use nade as a self heal is times that you can't use it on the enemy, or you can't use it on your own tank or your own DPS, whatever, right? And you really don't want to have to do that. So my advice is that even if you're low, unless there is like a real threat of dying, is just to not use it. And now here, I think there may have been a real threat of dying, right? You might have just straight needed to use it because you'd rather use your nade than die. You know, we can say that. But even after the nade, the Hanzo's still able to one-shot body shot you. You're at 110 health and you get behind the cover. So my advice would be, if you can think in the moment, just try and recognize that the 60 healing is not going to put you past any threshold, and just don't use it. Wait for your brig to heal you. If you get behind this cover, you're safe anyways. And if like monkey jumps at you or something, you can still use the nade, right? You don't have to not use it then. The less you use nade on yourself, generally the better it's going to be. You want to hit as many purples with this thing as you can. And I do want to note, in the first round, I don't know if, I think we hit 1 purple on the sleeping Hanzo and fortified Orisa. We're going to need to look to do a better job of that. It's going to be tough. They have monkey this round, and so you're not going to want to just reflexively throw your nade anytime the monkey jumps, because most of the time diamond monkeys will have bubble when they jump. They won't jump without bubble, and so you're going to want to wait for that bubble cooldown to come out and then get the nade, right? And this was a better attempt at damage. That's what I know. We're fighting the Genji, we'll talk about it, but this was a better attempt at damage. Is that we're in a position, right? We didn't flank and leave our team to go do the damage. We're still in a safe spot where we can help our team and do damage. And I know we only shot the enemy, you know, shot at them a couple times, but that's kind of the better idea, right? No one on our team needed help. Everyone was fine. Why not take a couple shots at the enemy Ana, right? Why not? Look, we're fine. Everyone is fine. So that's the idea behind doing damage. When our team is fine, they don't even have to be like full health or whatever, but when they're not at risk of dying, then we can just shoot the enemy. All right, this should be tough because we don't know what cooldowns this Genji has. He could have deflect, he could have dash, and we don't have our nade, which is usually going to be our best thing against a Genji. And this is a pretty common fight. You'll see a lot of Genji v Ana. At least I see a lot of Genji v Ana when I play Ana. And the biggest thing is going to be getting the deflect out before you use your cooldowns, because otherwise a good Genji will just hit you with both of your own cooldowns and you'll lose every time. And so some of the tips is that you don't actually have to get deflect out to hit the anti-nade. It just matters where the Genji is standing, right? So let's say you have nade here and the Genji dashes you like this and then immediately deflects here. If you want to hit him with nade still, which you can, by the way, all you have to do is turn around and throw it this way at the ground, because if you throw it this way at the ground, his deflect hitbox will pick it up if he's close enough, but your nade, if you splash it right behind you, will still hit both of you. Or right, if he creates some space like this and jumps away, then you can just splash the nade here. I know you don't have the nade. That's what I would do if I did. You only have the sleep, and so usually he doesn't even have deflect here. And if you knew that already, then throwing the sleep is fine. But I like to melee a couple times, maybe once, maybe twice, depends on how much threat my life is in. When he jumps on me, I'll usually just melee him and he'll almost always pop deflect. Even good Genjis still pop deflect, so that trick works pretty high in the ranks. He dashes on you, you melee. Unless you're really at risk of dying, you just need to throw the nade right away. Yeah, you're fine. He doesn't actually go for the kill. Okay, let's watch this one more time. Okay, good attempt at damage. I don't like the nade just because it's really hard to actually make sure that that nade goes where we want it to, right? Right, and we have better targets for this nade right now. Like on our screen, we have better targets for this nade. So again, I think this time the idea is better, right? We have an enemy in mind who we're going for, and if it hits, it will be a help, but we probably just need to recognize that we're not going to hit that nade. We could go for the Ana, who's on a lower ground than us, which makes it very easy to hit the nade. We have this fight going on. There's just better opportunities for it, but good attempt. I must have slowed the VOD down. It's looking real slow. There we go. Great shots. Yeah, that was good. I think that was a better fight for you, but I still think that there's things we could do better. I still think that all the same issues are there. All right, what can I say about that matchup other than we needed to think about bubble? And I think the more I watch this, I think it's pretty clear to me that you probably got to diamond from maybe your mechanics, or maybe you can hit your nades or sleeps better than other people even if you don't choose to use them in the right spots. So I think you'll have a lot of success if you can just figure out when to use the abilities, not how or on who, but when. You need to know when, because things like this will prevent you from climbing if you're not thinking about something like a bubble or something like a deflect before you use your abilities. Pretty much every time a good monkey jumps, he has his bubble, and so you need to learn not to throw your abilities unless you know the bubble is gone. If he uses bubble, it won't impact your chances of hitting him, right? So if you really wanted to sleep him here, which I think would be fine, the correct play would be to walk towards him and sleep, because then it doesn't matter if he uses bubble, you'll hit him anyways. But instead we walk away, which allows him to block our cooldown. Luckily, you're right, this is what I was gonna say, since he uses it to block sleep, we can hit an easy nade on him. But the thing is that we didn't even do that. We kind of panicked and threw it directly at our feet. I promise you, just look up a little bit and you can hit him and you, and it would be huge here. It would be huge. He has no way to get away from it. They have no way to cleanse him. All you have to do is throw it on this staircase, and you hit at least 2 of your team and their tank. We panic, we throw it too low, and he gets away from it, and now he's fine. Whereas if we hit that ante on him, maybe he just straight dies here, but we'll never know now. Now we have 10 seconds on both of our cooldowns. The good news is that they probably don't have ults because they lost the first fight, but we're gonna have to start thinking about ults pretty soon because it's getting to that point in the match. The first fight was kind of long, and we're not gonna want to throw out our cooldowns too much unless we really see an opportunity, because if we get primal and we don't have sleep, we're gonna hate our life. You know, if we get bladed and we don't have nade, we're gonna hate our life. You get the idea. Good rotation. I think your positioning is good, except for like those weird flanks on the first point. Your positioning looks really solid. You're good at rotating back when the pressure's hot and moving forward when there's an opportunity to move forward safely. If you get rid of those little flank things, then I think you're going to be in a really good spot with positioning, which is good because a lot of Annas really struggle with positioning. So that is something you're doing pretty good so far. Yes, nice nade. Very good nade. Right? And even though I know we kind of whiffed and hit the pillar there, but like what are we trying to do with it, right? Same question as before. What's the goal? The Hanzo maybe? I'm not really sure. And now look, right? What situation are we in? We don't die here because we're out of position, right? We're in a good spot. We die here because we have no cooldowns. Imagine how easy it is to get out of this if you have sleep and nade. It's easy. I promise you, it's actually easy. You just nade the ground to give yourself enough time to live, and you sleep his massive hitbox in the bubble, and you just walk away, and you're fine. So hopefully you can see, you know, where I'm getting at with this is that we have a clear problem we can fix, and that's good. That means it's easier to get better. Alright, we noticed that Monkey used his bubble. Now we kind of have free reign on our abilities for a while, but we know they have ults, and so we really don't want to use our abilities early. We really don't. There's Primal, there's Blade, there's Dragon. Wow, they just use everything. Our team is staying alive pretty well. We just get our Nano, and we're not sure if we want to use it. I would say just hold off. They press Q 3 times, actually 4 times, sorry. They use 4 ults here. We have to weather the storm before we throw the Nano, because if we throw the Nano and then a bunch of people die, it's just not really worth it. Our team does a pretty good job of surviving, and we use the Nano on our Brig. I don't hate it. It's definitely better than your first one, all right? Don't get me wrong. Definitely better than the one in the other round. And we hit our sleep on the Monkey. Good ability usage. I just think we're not sure if we can win the fight. Our Zarya is already dead, so we're down our most important player, and they get the res off. Not your fault. Not your Brig's fault either. Not really anything he could do about that if he didn't have bash. But yeah, we kind of used both support ults in a fight that we're not sure if we're going to win. and we have Blade. We really want a Nano Blade. Nano Blade is so strong and it's so hard to deal with. So it's just better to keep that combo in my opinion. Okay, what do you think I'm gonna say? It's time to walk backwards. This Brig is off on her own. You do not need to go save this Brig. All that's going to happen is that you're just both going to die instead of the Brig dying. He's fighting both DPS. There's a tank that's kind of blocking your path. This is not a fight we want to be taking. Or not a person we want to be helping. Just let this guy die. It's okay. Not your fault. Let him die. Luckily, the enemy doesn't just straight jump on us. I think in higher elo they do. Or at least I think they do, maybe. You might just die for being there, right? Monkey can just get right on top of you. It takes no effort at all for him. Genji gets a dash reset on your Brig. He's going to be able to get to you. Luckily, they don't push it. They play their cover. That's fine. But I would just recommend just let that guy die. Like 100% let him die next time. Not your problem. Yeah, unfortunate timing, the fact that she uses fade right when you go to use your sleep. But we do need to try and sleep the coalescing Moras. Yeah, not too much to say about that. We have to try that. And honestly, I'd like us to try it earlier rather than later. I know we're trying to get out of LOS here, but I would rather just us peek left and just try and hit the sleep early. But either way, you go for the sleep, which is good. Even though, you know, the timing is not good. Same bubble mistake. I don't need to linger on it, right? But we're obviously not paying attention to the cooldowns. So in this fight where we should have been super impactful, right, where we could have had nade for the grav, we could have had nade for the blade, we didn't have nade because we used it on the Hanzo earlier, who was fighting our Brig, which was just gonna do absolutely nothing. Just kind of a whole lot of missed opportunity here. It's a little sad to see, right? Or actually, yeah, we used it on the bubble, sorry. We also wasted it on the Hanzo earlier, but we wasted 2 nades in a row, and that leads us to not really be able to do anything useful here. Us dying there is not really our fault. I think we're in a pretty good position, and our team just kind of cleans up for us. But we should have more impact on these fights for sure if we use our abilities correctly. Good positioning. I really like this spot. Nice sleep as well. And I think that sleep was good because if that Rhine hits anyone with that pin, you're going to want to get him to sleep. I didn't think you were going to hit it. Honestly, I don't know if I would have even gone for it just because I'm not sure if my mechanics are that solid to hit that flick, but you did hit it, and it makes sense because if he hits that pin, someone's probably going to die. So it's good to try and stop it. We miss our ability, or we miss our chance to use our ability there. I think we just need to throw nade there, right? 2 of our teammates are critical, and the Moira has no fade, so if you hit the anti on the Moira, she's gonna die, but we choose to heal instead. That's also fine. Get the kill either way. And with Ryan now, it's going to be a little different. You're just going to want to think about when he wants to swing, and that's when you're going to want to throw your nade. When does he want to swing? And try and hit the nade on him when he's doing that. They don't have a cleanse, so if you do hit it, it's probably pretty good. Another thing is you can just wait for his shield to get low. You have a Zarya with a lot of energy and a Sojourn. His shield's probably going to get low at some point. Maybe not, though, because neither supports contribute to shield break, and the Genji's not great. But again, another wasted ability. We might need that sleep later, and we don't have 14 seconds. Not going to linger on it. We've already talked about this 100 times, right? Right, run away. Yep. And these antis are better, the last 2 antis, because you've actually thrown them at the enemy, which is good. There has been like kill potential if you hit these antis, right? You're hitting them on people where it's actually impactful and it's going to matter. So these have been better. Great Nano. That's awesome. Love doing that. Nothing to say about that other than 10 out of 10, right? That's basically what you're looking to do all the time. Very good. You have both of your abilities back up. It's time to figure out what you want to do with them. Nice use of cover. Good use of nade. A little nitpick there is that, and look, you played this well, all right? You played this well. Don't let this get in your head, the fact that I'm giving you any critique here. But what I would do instead, or what my first instinct would be, is when they do this, I'm throwing nade instantly, right? Instantly throwing nade here instead of sleep. Because if you nade him, he is 100% going to die. Whereas if you sleep him, he might just get woken back up and get his shield back up and live, right? So I would nade here, which leaves me sleep for when this soldier fights me. So now I'd go for sleep. And look, the thing is that it works out for you. The soldier dies, you get the kill, which was great. You lived from the Hanzo, right? You played your cover well to get away from the Hanzo, and you used your Nano. Like, this is a great fight for you. Just a small thing is throw the nade at the Reinhardt instead of the sleep, because he might still live even if you hit the sleep. Whereas if you hit the nade, he's definitely not going to live. Nice, very good. Yeah, that was great. That was a great fight. Do more of that, basically. Like I said in the intro, I decided to skip the third round, even though I know it was a little bit better for you in terms of gameplay. As for the recap for this game, I think it's pretty obvious what we need to work on. We need to have a purpose in mind when we use our abilities. Honest cooldowns are just too long to be randomly throwing them out, as good players can and will punish you when they know you don't have any defensive tools. Your aim was fine. I honestly don't believe anyone's mechanics hold them back in this game, although that's a topic for another video. Your positioning is also quite good, except for the off angles in the first round. Once you stopped doing that, it got a lot easier to win, and your tank probably appreciated it as well. Your nanos could use a little work, but they probably aren't holding you back either. Once you've worked on your ability usage and feel like it's no longer a problem, I'd be happy to watch another code of yours and give you some more feedback. That's all for today. If you got value from this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. I got this code from my Discord, which will be linked down in the description below. If you want to get your VOD reviewed, all you have to do is join that link and submit a request in the correct channel. It's that easy. I hope you enjoyed, but more importantly, I hope you learned something today. See you in the next one.